Amazing. Welcome, everybody. Hey, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Amazing. If you're just joining us, lots of videos joining in. I love it. Hey, everyone. You can have your video on if you would like to. We love seeing your faces. If you don't want to have your video on, that's fine. You'll note that you're all on mute for today because it would just be Jillian and I speaking. But welcome. Hey, look, just as we gather, we've got lots more people joining. We would love you to share in the chat where in the world you are and what you do creatively. Love to hear if you can post on the chat. Amazing. So yeah, where in the world you are and what you do. Now I'm always playing a guessing game. A lot of our clients are based in the US, some in Europe as well. But I'm always saying to people, where do you think I am right now? I'm actually in France right now. I just ran a retreat about a month ago in Morocco, so hence spending a few months in Europe at the moment, which is good. So I'm in France right now. Where are you, Jillian?
I'm an East Coaster. I'm in Connecticut.
Amazing. So, and it's great seeing where everyone is here as everyone joins. So if you're just joining us, where you are in the world and what you do, fantastic. Hey, Liz, great. Liz there in Austin, Ohio, UK. Hey, Sarah, amazing. Wilmington, I love it. Hey, Molly, fantastic. Minneapolis. Oh, it's just amazing seeing as you scroll through, everyone have a bit of a look. Look, we've got people here from all over the world. Canada, graphic designer. Oh, there we go, Anna. Hey, Anna, Amsterdam. I love it. We've got some people in European time zones here as well, which is good. So it's actually 7 p.m. in Europe right now in France. So it's my evening. And what time is it for you right now, Jillian?
It's 1 p.m. Yeah.
Amazing. I love it.
Cool.
Oh, there we go. I love it. People from all over. Look, this is awesome. We're going to get things underway. So I'll hand over to you, Jillian, so we can get underway, get kicked off.
Yay, thank you. Hi, everyone. Welcome. Exciting to see you here. So my name is Jillian. You probably know me from the internet as Jag Inc., but the real name is Jillian. As I said, I'm in Connecticut. I am an illustrator and a muralist, and working in hand lettering and greeting card illustration, all sorts of applications. So excited to have you here. And yeah, so we're going to be talking with Logan. Logan is my creative business coach. I've been working with him. He has a 3-month coaching program that I was in, and I'm still working with him now, the Flammable Entrepreneur. And Logan helps creative visual artists in all sorts of fields, graphic design, illustration, murals, you name it, to help grow your business in a sustainable way. So today we're talking about marketing, which is awesome. Personally, something that I really needed to lean into, which was really helpful in this coaching program. So I'm excited to introduce him to you. So take it away, Logan.
Amazing. So great to be here, and thanks for inviting me to meet your audience as well, which is great. And there's people that may already know of me too. So look, just sharing a couple of extra things there. I had my own creative business for 11 years. Yes, I'm a New Zealander. So people are often like, yeah, but where's the funny accent from? You say you're in France, you spend a lot of time in the States, most of the clients are in the States and Europe, like, okay, what's going on here? I'm originally from New Zealand. I don't spend that much time there. I do run my business fully remotely and spend most of my time between sort of the Americas and Europe, and of course, occasionally New Zealand as well. So yeah, had my own creative company in New Zealand for 11 years, did a lot of work with universities primarily in the coaching and teaching space for a number of years, part-time. So way back for the last 10 years, I've done lots of different things, mentoring, coaching, teaching with creatives. And then when I sold my creative company, I then went full-time into the coaching space, and we now support visual creatives to grow their businesses. And the other thing I briefly mentioned is the retreats as well. We run like 1 retreat per year, sometimes 2. We're planning to do more in future. So just had a retreat just recently with a good friend of mine, Kat Koch, that some of you may know as well, who's an amazing creative and educator too. So look, we're going to be really diving into marketing today. This is like, I think, the most important subject when it comes to running a creative business, because you need people to know you exist. And we work with tons of people who are amazing at what they do creatively, at their craft, but the big struggle is the business stuff. And that's where we come in with our program, is supporting people with the business stuff. Specifically, marketing is a big part of that. So we're going to be really diving into this topic around marketing today, around how to grow your visual creative business. It's very specific to visual creatives. A lot of our clients we work with are graphic designers and illustrators and muralists. We've even got some interior designers as well, which is great within those different areas. The other cool thing that we're going to be doing is we are giving away 3 freebie coaching calls with me. They're 30-minute calls, and a few calls with one of my team, Paul, as well, which will be fantastic. So if that's something that interests you, what we do is we just have a quick survey. I'm going to drop it in the links. It'll be in the post email as well. We'll send it through by email with the recording, anyone that's watching the recorded version. But look, if this is something that's interesting for you, pop it open now. What it is, it takes about 5 or 10 minutes to do the survey. We'll select 3 people to get on 30-minute calls with me for a freebie coaching call, and then we'll give a bunch of calls to get on a call with Paul, our creative business strategist on the team as well. He is fantastic and super lovely to connect with too. So look, you'll get some insights from doing the survey itself. Even if you're not interested in the call, it's something that people always learn something from. It's asked a lot about dreams and challenges as well. And everyone that does that will be sending through some feedback too as well. So that's enough of that part, but just really excited to be able to connect with some of you one-on-one as well in the future and get some of you connecting with Paul. So let's dig into things, because this subject is so important. And I know, Jillian, it's something we've talked about a lot through obviously your whole coaching as well, and really dived into. We're going to start off with this whole idea of doing all of the things in marketing and really taking you through why this doesn't work. So I think it's kind of interesting. We all hear it. We all hear like you have to be everywhere, right? To grow your business, to market your business, you have to be everywhere. I don't think that's true. And we've worked with many clients and proven that not to be true as well. Trying to be everywhere, and I say trying because I don't think anyone can really be everywhere. Trying to be everywhere is super overwhelming. And I think that's the biggest thing when it comes to marketing in general. For most creative people, they think marketing is kind of a ick thing anyway. And it's hard to put all of your energy into the marketing and the business side when you want to put your energy into the creative side of what you do and what you love. So just to really dispel that idea is that doing everything in marketing just doesn't work. Overwhelm kicks in, and actually what happens is you kind of end up maybe everywhere, but everywhere in a very small way. So yeah, maybe you're on Instagram, but you only have time to post like every few weeks. Yeah, maybe you're on all the other social platforms, but you never have time to post on half of them. And what ends up happening is you're basically diluting yourself across all of the platforms, all of the different ways to market, and you're not really doing enough of anything. And you're also just feeling super overwhelmed by trying to do so many things. It's super disconcerting trying to do a post here and then send in a cold email and then do this. And it's just super exhausting. So, that's something that it really comes down to focus. So I'm going to dive into this with our next point around the one thing in marketing. But first of all, I just really want you to see that idea of being everywhere just doesn't work because of the overwhelm. Instead, you really need to focus your efforts. So we're going to dig deeper into this, but we'd love to hear any thoughts you've got, Jillian, around this idea of trying to be everywhere and your experiences as well.
Oh, yeah. I think, with new social media popping up all the time, it is really tempting to chase the the shiny objects and say, hey, maybe this new thing is my next thing. But just focusing and leaning into that one thing that works for you, that's something that I really did need to hear in this coaching program, because, I was trying to be everywhere. And then, yeah, things do fall through the cracks when that happens.
I love it. It's so important. So let's dig into this a bit further. We're going to take you through this idea of what we call the one thing in marketing. So the idea of this one thing, this core focus, this core marketing strategy, as we sometimes call it, is that you should really focus your energy on one approach around marketing. And when I say focus your energy, focus most of your energy. So, sometimes we'll talk about that 80-20 rule of like focus 80% of your marketing energy, whatever time and energy you can put into marketing, you focus 80% of that in one place. So that may be Instagram, that may be cold email outreach, that may be networking. There's lots of different things. It could be partnership. So the idea here is to actually focus on one thing and do it really well. So rather than trying to do all of the different things and diluting yourself, actually focusing and trying to figure out what that one thing could be. part of what we actually often do in our programs is help people figure that out. Not everyone just knows. Like some people just know that this is going to work, this is their area, they need to put more focus into that, and we support them to do that. Others, there's going to be some experimentation. Well, I don't know, it could be this, it could be that, and we really help them to explore, but also figure that out, because ultimately, if you can spend more energy and time in one place, you're going to get much better results. The other beautiful thing about this is that you can then focus your learnings into that one strategy as well. Everything changes, right? And I know everyone here finds that, like, every platform, every approach is constantly changing, and you're going to have to keep adapting, keep learning. So that's where, if you're trying to learn and adapt with everything, well, it's going to be super overwhelming once again. Instead, let's say your core thing is Instagram. Well, yeah, your job is to keep up with Instagram, the changes, and really focus your energy into that. So it's a really, really powerful idea. I think the thing I will mention around it is that I speak to many people all the time, people we work with, but also people we do not work with. And something that always fascinates me is I say to people, I say, hey, like, awesome, you've got this creative business, maybe you're starting your creative business. That's really cool. Like, tell me what you do for marketing. And like, most people crack up laughing at me and they're like, I don't really do anything, Logan. Or they're like, well, I do Instagram. And I'm like, cool, like, how often do you post on there? And they're like occasionally, like once a week. And then I'm like, okay, well, you haven't done any posts in like a month. And it's like, well, yeah, I'm kind of feeling a bit overwhelmed. And I totally get that. This stuff is very, very overwhelming. But often it's about, they're overwhelmed by all the things they have to do or could do. Whereas if we really focus that energy in, yes, you can do it in one place, but you do need to focus that energy and then do it. So if we're going to say Instagram's your core thing, like if you say, great, Instagram's my core thing, it does mean you need to keep up with the changes. You probably need to post most days. You probably need to be doing reels, using reels, and you probably need to be exploring other features of Instagram as well, how you could really leverage that. And look, that can be a bit overwhelming to sometimes hear that first. If you're like, oh, I'm just starting with this stuff. Yeah, you can start small and you can build up to that. There's a lot of work we do with clients, helping them to break things down and take those small steps that lead to those larger steps as well. So we'd love to hear your perspectives and your learnings around this as well, Jillian, around this idea of like the one focus in marketing.
Yeah, mine is Instagram, and that is my one thing. And I think I was a little resistant about that for a while because it is hard. It is a lot to keep up with, and keeps changing on us. And sometimes it feels like you're shouting into a void, but I've been building it for years, and it's not something to just give up on because it gets hard. So yeah, leaning into it, and just making sure people know what you do, because sometimes it's easy to post on Instagram just a little illustration that you make and then just leave. But how can a client use that piece that you just posted on Instagram, or like what do you actually do? These are like really important things to be posting about and to be sharing about, if that is your one thing, that your Instagram. So yeah, just like really changing or reframing the way that I think about my Instagram has been super valuable for me, to really turn it into a marketing tactic rather than just throwing illustrations up there and seeing how they do.
I love it. I think, people often find this idea actually kind of freeing because they're trying to do all the things and they realize they can focus. And this is just an example. Jillian's just given you an example of her thing being Instagram. It doesn't have to be Instagram, right? So some people are like, oh, well, if I don't have tons of followers on Instagram, well, I'm not going to be successful as a creative business owner. Like, no, you definitely can be. Like, yes, Jillian's got a lot of followers. We've also got clients, like 90% of clients we work with have like less than 2,000 followers. And yet they can still have incredibly successful businesses that are growing. And yes, they still use Instagram as part of that, but it doesn't need to be their core thing. So that's a really good thing for you to think about. If you're like, well, this is only going to work out once I've hit over 10,000 followers, this business is only going to work then. It's like, no, like there's other ways to market, there's other ways to build your business, but you still need to figure out where to put your energy. One thing I really mentioned there is this idea of the core strategy. I'm also going to talk about the supporting strategies and that idea of like, if you're spending 80% of your energy somewhere, Logan, like where do you spend the rest of your energy? So we're going to dive into that as well. But the thing I would love to just do, we'll take a quick break and get everyone to share the URLs of their Instagram in the chat. When I say URL, it's exactly like mine there. Go and copy it, like go open the web browser, copy it from there and drop it in there rather than giving us your @tag, because then you can get other people following you here. I would love to follow you all. Jillian would love to follow you all. Some of us will already be connected, but if everyone can just quickly do that, and you're going to get a bunch of new cool followers. Community is such an amazing part of building a creative business and an essential part as well. And I know definitely Jillian's leaned into the community side of her Instagram as well, which is very, very cool. So yeah, if everyone here can dump that in there, that would be fantastic. And then click on everyone's things. Look, by the way, whenever anyone does this and asks you to share your Instagram, never share that, just the @tag, because no one can click anything. Everyone has to copy and paste. It's a nightmare. So do what you're doing. Everyone's doing it. I love it. So good. Look, and one thing I didn't mention at the start, we will be doing a Q&A at the end. Some of you might be aware of that already from the emails and the messages. So there will be time to ask questions of myself or Jillian. Look, it can be on the topics we're sharing about, the topics I'm diving into, but it could be anything around your creative business that you're curious about. So I will sort of make a shout out towards the end of this workshop piece that we've got Q&A time coming, and then you can start dropping questions in. But also feel free to keep using the chat if you want to share insights or reflections of what we're sharing as well. Totally fine too. So I love it. I love seeing all the pop-ups there. I'm definitely going to be going through and following everyone that we're not connected with there as well. Very, very cool. All right, let's dig into the next piece here. So yeah, I talked about 80% of your energy on the one thing. It's like, well, what about the other thing? Are you saying, Logan, that we don't need to be on other social media platforms? Are you saying that we don't need to do this cold emailing or these other things, or maybe even don't need to do Instagram at all because the core strategy is something else? Well, no, what then we've then got is what we call supporting strategies. So this is where you might spend, say, 20% of your energy in marketing in other ways. So I'm going to sort of give you some ideas around what those sorts of things could be. And maybe these are things you haven't thought about before in terms of what they could be and how this idea of supporting strategy works. And just a quick note, when I talk about spending 80% of your energy on one area and 20% of your energy, I'm talking about the energy you have available. Because some people are like, Logan, I've got like a full-time job. Like, how am I going to do that? I have to spend lots of my time and energy on the full-time job. I'm talking about the time you have available, right? If that's an hour a week, an hour a day, okay, you've got to do all the other elements of your business. Well, whatever time you can spend on marketing, put 80% of that energy into one place. So we get it. We get that not everyone can just be 100% focused on their creative business. Most people can't. Like, we work with a lot of people with day jobs. About a third of our clients do have day jobs and they're early stage. They're trying to figure out how to transition. And then we've got a whole group that are early stage in their business but wanting to grow. We even work with some people that are advanced in their business and we help them grow too, which is something to think about. So just being really mindful of that piece of this too. So this idea of supporting strategy, basically, let's, even using Jillian here as an example, like core strategy being Instagram. Well, we still want to be doing some other things as well to support that core strategy and often link up with that. So you want to spend a small amount of energy in other places. So if we talk about social media platforms, it's still a good idea to be signed up to other social media platforms, have a basic profile there, and maybe be posting occasionally, right? So I'm saying, like, you could actually have a Pinterest profile and be doing some stuff on there, but you might not spend, you might do it once a month, you might do something there. And that means that some of your Instagram audience might move across to there as well. You might have some people who find you via Pinterest, join you over there. So it's another way. It's kind of spreading those eggs out into some more baskets, but it's also supporting your core strategy by helping people find you in other creative ways too. So for example, if we talk about cold emailing, you might say, well, don't have to do any. Jillian definitely has been doing cold emailing as well. And, it's something that you can still do, but because it's not her core strategy, she doesn't need to send 50 emails a week or even 10 emails a week, but she can do that occasionally to start building connections and really grow that. But one thing she has to do is, definitely mention and leverage the fact she has a following, because even though that sounds sometimes a bit, hey, and here's my following, it sometimes sounds a bit silly, but it's like, no, that's important because you're leveraging your core strategy as well. It's the same with networking, right? Some people say, right, so that means I don't have to do any networking. And my belief is, no, everyone here should try and go to some form of networking every month or two if they can, right? There's going to be exceptions to that. When I talk about networking, I'm being pretty open with that. It could be something online, it could be something offline. It could be, yeah, and more and more in-person stuff is happening. And it doesn't have to just be industry specific. Yes, it's a good way to meet people, make connections, maybe find clients, but also it's just a good way to get you talking about what you do and get comfortable with sharing about your business, because most people are not. They're just out of practice. So the good thing is, look, everyone here has picked off their networking thing for the month, because this is also networking. Part of why we get everyone to share their Instagrams, because you're now going to connect with a bunch of other awesome visual creatives as well. And that's part of it, is building your creative network too. So a couple of other things around these supporting strategies, things to do. Even if Instagram's not your core strategy, still have your basic Instagram set up. Still try and do a post maybe every week, or even if it's every month, because even if you say networking is my core strategy, Logan, I meet lots of people, I'm very relationship focused. Well, the first thing they're probably going to do is go and check out your Instagram. And if you don't have an Instagram, or you've posted on it last 6 months ago, they're going to be like, oh, I don't know if this person's very legit or not. So you don't need to be necessarily posting every single day, but posting occasionally is a really good thing to think about as a supporting strategy there. Email lists, still a thing. They're still live. They're still well. Building your email list up, having a newsletter can be a really good thing to do. Everyone forgets they do not own their Instagram following. You do not own your social media followings. You can get it blocked. You can lose access. Things can change as well. So this is where you can aim to get people's email addresses, ask them if they want to sign up. Maybe there's some sort of freebie that they'll get in return for that. So it's a really good thing to think about. And then you can be connecting with people in that way as well. So it's definitely, once again, a supporting strategy. And I know that's something Jillian's been leaning into as well, as growing her email list too. So I'd love to hear any insights, thoughts around these things from your journey as well, Jillian.
Yeah. So Instagram is my main thing, but I have been really leaning into a couple of other things. I've been big on the email outreach lately, which honestly it's scary, but once you get into it, it's kind of fun. I've been seeing results from that, which is really exciting. I also, I've started a newsletter. It's there. It's just another thing to have there, just in case something does happen with my Instagram following. I'm on the other social media apps. I'm on TikTok. I'm on Pinterest. All of the other, just to have a presence there, which is like really, I think, important. Some people do find me on Pinterest. Some people find me on TikTok, and then they end up on my Instagram, which is still, the main place that I see clients come in from. But yeah, just having those other presences, is that the word? is a really
We'll make it
important
work.
good thing to have. Yeah, that works.
I love it. So, so good. And, obviously always great to hear Jillian's insights and experiences in these things, because she's doing it. She's out there really growing her business at the moment, which is awesome. So just wanted to refer back to something we talked about, which is why doing all the things, right? The first point I talked about, why doing all the things doesn't work. There's actually exceptions where it does work. It's when you actually reach a point where you're able to build a team. So like, often we've seen this where the people saying you've got to be everywhere. Well, they have someone who runs their Instagram for them. They have someone doing their cold email outreach. Most of you here, you're what we call solopreneurs. You're solo business owners. You're people who don't necessarily have a team. There might be some of you, if you are a bit more advanced in your business, maybe have some sort of support or maybe some sort of partnership, and that's great. But most people don't. So that's just another reason why this focus is so, so important. So is it better to be on multiple platforms and posting on them all a lot? Yeah, it actually is, but it's pretty much impossible for a single person to do themselves, hence why focus is important. And if you reach a point where you are deciding you want to grow a team, that's an option as well. And you can be in more places, but even having a team, I've got a team as well, and we're not certainly everywhere. But yes, you've got to really still focus it, and maybe it's just focusing it in several areas rather than that one. So good thing to think about. Cool. So the next thing I'm going to share with you all is this idea of keep doing the basics. Marketing can get very complex, and we can create complex strategies and systems around how we do things. And one of the things we often say to people, often when we start working with them, is when did you last follow up with people you have worked with? And yep, there's a lot of people we work with who have never worked with anyone because they're just starting out. That's fine as well. But it's amazing how often people don't keep in touch with the people they've worked with in the past. It's an absolutely essential basic skill. And it really is much better to do that before doing all of the other things. So we talk about cold email. Cold emailing is something you can do, but we talk about warm emailing. Warm emailing is connecting with your past clients in your current network, because they are already people that know about you. They already probably know, like, and trust you. So let's make sure you're connecting with those people. And that's the basic stuff. It's really, really important that you're following up with previous clients, following up with previous leads or connections or people you met in some ways. That's a really, really important part of it as well. And I love it in terms of the wording that you can use. Sometimes people feel like if they contact someone, they're sounding desperate. I think it's every creative sphere is to sound desperate. We don't want to sound desperate. So keep it simple and just say, hey, I have some availability coming up for the next few months. Just wanted to let me know if you're interested in speaking about a project. Pretty simple. You're just letting them know. You're not saying, hey, have you got any work? Things are tough right now. Have you got any work available for me? It's like, no, you're providing them with really valuable opportunity, valuable service here. They need you just as much as you need them. So that's a really important thing to remember, is those follow-ups and maintaining those connections. So this is where other things like your email newsletter, having your Instagram presence, are also just good ways to keep in the background for people as well. So that's a very, very important thing. The other thing to keep doing in terms of the basic stuff is aiming to get referrals. Like, if someone has worked with you before and they recommend their friend, their family, their colleague to you, there's a much higher chance that person's going to end up working with you and spending money with you, because they probably already roughly know your costing because their friend or their family member told them, but also they've got a referral, so they know that person had a positive experience. Know, like, and trust can be transferred, and that's a really important thing to do. So a lot of people don't do enough around generating referrals and those things there within their business. And one thing you can do is just ask for the referral. Make it really, really easy. Have a system in place around referrals. There's lots of good things here. It's something we dig into during the programs as well, but this is important, and it's kind of basic stuff that people forget about. They're like, oh, I've got to get new clients, and they forget about the old people they've worked with in the past who could refer them, recommend them to other people, or could be repeat clients as well. What are your thoughts around this stuff from your perspective, Jillian?
Yeah, this one was huge for me in taking this coaching program. I wasn't following up really at all. So that was really valuable just to see how that can be used in terms of not even getting like referrals, but just, checking in on clients that you've worked with before. Oftentimes they'll have another project for you. If you're just reaching out and asking for a testimonial, which is something that I've been doing since working with Logan. And yeah, they usually have projects for you, which is, kind of a nice, warm, easy way to get new work. So yeah, the follow-up for me had been really, really overlooked. I was going through like a folder of leads in my inbox, and a lot of them were dead, and I killed them. So it was good to like go back and, go back into that folder and just follow up with people. Really useful.
I love it. It's so powerful and really, really important to do this stuff. And like, once again, you can put all of this energy into creating posts and reels and outreach emails and getting really complex, which, yes, often you have to do that stuff, but we've got to remember the basic stuff as well. It's there's on our first coaching program, there's this part of the program we talk about the low-hanging fruit. So it's literally talking about a tree, and it's like the low-hanging fruit are the easy pickings, where these are people you worked with in the past. Just reconnect with them because they already know, like, and trust you. Those are the key things that we need to happen for someone to work with us. Someone's already worked with us and they were happy. They're probably willing to not only spend the current amount of money they spend in the past, they're probably going to spend more, probably more likely to refer you. And the whole conversation is just going to be more straightforward because they already believe in you. They also are more likely to listen to your expertise as well. So once again, all of this basic stuff that I don't think is actually that basic. I call it the basic stuff, but most people probably don't think it's that basic, but these are essential things. And these are the things that you always try and do first. Something else I didn't mention there, but we'll just add is getting testimonials. Essential, absolutely essential as well, is get testimonials from people that you're working with. You've got to ask. You've got to ask for testimonials. Now, something I've really noticed is most people are pretty nervous about sharing testimonials because they don't want to say the wrong thing. So sometimes giving them a prompt can help. Hey, I know you mentioned during our process of working together how professional and fast I was to work with. Do you mind if you can share something around that, if you write something around professional and fast in a sentence, and I can use that. Right. So it's getting their sign off on that. But sometimes people need a prompt around testimonials. You need to ask, but sometimes they need some ideas as to what to say because they're like, oh yeah, I loved working with you, but I have no idea what to say. And that's a very, very common thing too. Awesome. So we are going to dive into one more thing, but then we are going to be jumping into the Q&A part of the call. So if you do want to drop a message in, I do have some that were pre-submitted before by the stories. And Jojo, we will jump into your question there as well. Anyone has a question about anything around creative business, to myself or to Jillian, either of our perspectives, just drop it in the chat now or anytime over the next while, and we'll answer as many as we can of them in the hour that we have during that time. So yeah, Jojo, we will jump into yours. Look, just before we do obviously jump into Q&A, I'm going to talk about another tool, another thing that you can do in your business. And this idea here is around creating surveys, and it's called research marketing. So it's so important you get to understand your clients or your potential clients, the types of people you could work with. So this strategy here is really around using basically a survey as a way to just find out what people need. Because often as creatives, we think about the creative work that we're doing and you know, putting that energy into that, but sometimes we forget about the problems we are solving or the challenges that we're solving. So sometimes what we've got to do is we've got to dig into that and we've got to learn about that. Especially those of you that are early stage in your businesses, you've got to really get deeper in terms of understanding who you're going to work with, but then what do they actually need? So and just a quick story around this, in my previous creative business, we had characters and performers and fire dancers, pretty crazy wacky stuff at events in the New Zealand events industry. You know, so we were providing stilt walkers and fire dancers, but that's not what our clients were really paying for. They were paying for professional entertainment that was done safely, that their guests at their events would love. Right. So, and they were paying for great communication. They were paying for the fact that we email replied to them professionally, that we were going to show up, that we weren't going to show up drunk, that we were going to show up professionally, we were going to look good, we were going to do all of those things. They're actually paying for all of that stuff as well. But we just thought we were just providing, we were like fire dancing. They loved fire dances. And it's like, no, it goes deeper than that. So you can really use this idea of sending a survey to, could be past clients, or it can even just be to your audience, whether that's on Instagram, through email, any of your social media platforms, is put a survey out there just to understand people's needs and what they're getting into. Ask questions about the challenges they experience within this field of working with people like yourself, and really dig into it. It's often surprising how often people are happy to do that. So if there's some sort of giveaway, can definitely help. Having a giveaway in return for doing that survey can be a really good idea as well. And look, this is an important thing. You can even have a question in there of, hey, you know, if you're interested in working with me, feel free to let me know, because that could also open up a way for you to end up working with them, because you can kind of go back to them and say, hey, you've got all these challenges. I can help you solve them. Like, here's how I would work with you. So that's a really important approach. And I quite like it because it's quite light. It's not like super pushy or direct or anything. It's just opening things up. It's learning about what they need and then digging deeper as well. So a really, really important part of that. Any thoughts around that, Jillian, in terms of just learning about your clients and digging in and learning about their problems and challenges?
Yeah, it's great timing because I haven't sent out my survey yet, but you might be seeing it soon. It is coming. Yeah, I really think it comes down to just connecting with your audience. I mean, you can even do this through your Instagram stories, like having a poll or something, and just knowing what they need, what they're looking for from you as a creator. You know, if you're a content creator or any sort of like work that you do, you can ask your audience. And yeah, I find that they are often very willing to respond, and things like that get pretty good traction in terms of like polls and stuff like that. Yeah, it's just all about connecting with the people who are following you so that you can know more about them. because you have like a, presence online where you're sharing about yourself, but there's never really an opportunity for your audience to share about themselves. So it's a great way to do it.
Amazing. I love that. Very, very cool. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be digging into the Q&A part next. So I can already see there's a bunch of questions being popped in here, which is awesome as well. So we're going to dive right into them. So I think, look, we'll actually start off with the question here from Jojo. Hey, Jojo, hopefully doing well. So look, the question here, hey, Logan, Jillian, I know most of the chat seems to be about marketing, but curious if you can talk about the 80-20 approach around aspects of services and products, like doing murals, logos, physical products, digital products. Oh, honestly, I have a ton of thoughts around this stuff. And I'm going to share them with you all. So look, yes, it's important to focus, and that's kind of what it is. And you're all creative people, so we don't want to dull that creativity by being like, you can't do things. So we actually shared this on our Instagram today, or maybe recently, around like, you can do everything, you just can't do everything right away. And this is kind of like that as well for you, Jojo, and others. There is, you've, like, most people have a ton of creative ideas of like, I could do this, I could do this, I could do this, I could do this. And then I'm like, yes, but if you've got a full-time job, you've only got limited time. Even if you don't have a full-time job and you're able to focus 100% of your energy in your business, it's really hard to do lots of different things. So therefore, you're getting pulled in different directions, and you're not putting any of those things, giving any of those things the attention that they need. What also can happen is your clients, your potential clients, get a bit confused. They're like, you've got this, you've got this, you've got this, you've got this. What do you actually do? Right? You're trying to offer too many things. So look, often what we're recommending, and it depends case by case, and we look at people individually around this, but really focusing on like 2 to 3, sometimes more things. I often say 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 things is good, depending on you as an individual, where you're at, what you do, and how we even define those things there. So this is where, say for you, Jojo, actually thinking, okay, well, you've got your logos, you've got your murals, your digital, and your physical products as well. Like, that might be too much there. You might want to decide which 3 could you focus on. I'm also a big believer in this idea of what we call the bread and butter offering. So it's like having one core offering you're really going to lean into and spend maybe not quite 80% of your energy, but it could be. So for you, Jojo, and for others as well, you could consider, okay, well, I'm going to spend 60% of my energy on logos and branding. I'm going to spend like 20% of my energy on murals, and then I'm going to spend maybe 20% of my energy on smaller products. A big thing I share, and a big thing I'm very passionate about talking about a lot, is that you have to have higher value offerings. You have to have offerings that are over $300 plus. I have had too many calls with people who are struggling in their business, who just have low price offerings, and it's not working. It can be part of the equation, but lower price offerings, whether that's the product, the digital products, things like that, they can be part of your business, but you probably don't want to spend more than like 10, 20% of your energy on them. You need chunkier things that are worth $300 plus. I'm talking in USD, so we could use euros, USD, sort of 300 plus. And that's kind of bare minimum. Ideally 500 plus, $1,000 plus. And there's lots of reasons for that, which is, it's just a lot easier to make $5,000 to $10,000 per month off those. You have to sell so many smaller price offerings, things under $50, to actually make that work. And if you don't have a big social media following or even a big email list, you're going to really struggle with that as well. So I think focus is important, and it's going to also change over time as well. So you might find, okay, for the first 6 months, you're going to focus in this way and you're really going to build that up. But once you get to 5K and beyond, you might be able to start offering some other things. You might be able to bring on a team member to support some stuff. You might be able to invest in some different ways within your business, and that might mean you can actually expand as well. So this is a really important thing to think about. And it's the same with Jillian, and about 10% of people we work with those big followings. It's kind of still similar for them as well. Yes, technically they can sell those lower price things, but it's still hard work. They still have to have those higher ticket offers as well. Which is very, very important. Actually, did you want to add anything around that specific one there, Jillian, in terms of like your focuses on those higher ticket offerings, or even how you focus within that? Could be really interesting to hear.
Yeah, I think that was a a big one for me too, because we do want to do all of the things. But I have really begun to boil down my bread and butter offerings, as Logan calls them, to Kind of, yeah, I would say like 3 main things, I do lettering, illustration, murals, and like those are and I have 3 target markets that I'm looking for, and those are like my 3 main focuses. And yes, I did have a shop, and, a bunch of other little things that I like to do as well, but, when it comes to focus and in terms of like higher offerings, I have boiled it down to, yeah, 3 main focuses.
Amazing. I love that. Very, very cool. We're going to keep jumping into these questions. So just looking at it here, the next one we're going to dive into, Sarah, for Instagram content, how can I plan content that isn't just, here's a new print, here's a collection, here's the link to buy it. I struggle to be not to be too salesy. Yeah, this is something that people, it's kind of funny actually. I think people who struggle with exactly what you're sharing, or the other end of it, which is they're like, they never sell, like they never promote anything. So I kind of see people on both ends, which is that they either sell and promote and push things too much, or they never do, or like it's very, very rare. And both of those things are actually a bad thing. There's got to be some middle ground within that. It's different for everyone, but yes, it's so, so important to be understanding about giving value to your audience. What do your audience want to see? If you post mostly salesy stuff, you will get people disengage with you, unfollow you. They will, maybe they're still going to stay there as followers, but they'll mute you. And that's actually even worse because then they're not going to engage at all. But the algorithm's still going to know they're there. So this is really important that you understand that selling too much is not good. None of us, I don't think anyone actually likes to be sold to at all. Right? We all hate it. We all hate the idea of like, oh, if I feel like I'm being sold to right now, oh, I'm not interested. Even if I need the thing and I'm interested in those things there, we all just hate being sold to. We all have that fear of like, the sales calls you used to get. I don't get as many as I used to now, thank goodness. But it's you used to get these calls, people trying to sell you over the phone or like cold email, those things there where people just sell, sell, sell. So just something around that, and then we'll talk about some ideas for you there, Sarah, is on Instagram, rough rule of thumb, Logan rule of thumb, 1 in 10, maybe even 1 of 20 posts can be more salesy. If we're going to use that word salesy. So more like, here's how you can work with me, or here's something I'm offering, I'm launching something, I'm selling something. All right. So like 1 in 10 posts, maybe even 1 in 20. And for some, it'll be more, for some, it'll be less. But we've got to be very, very clear of just over pushing, over promoting to our audience, even though we want to sell and do those things there. But at the same time, as I mentioned, well, 1 in 10 or 1 in 20. So if you're never doing it, well, you could do it occasionally. Look, whenever you do a sales driven type post of any sort, whatever it is, you're just going to get less engagement. That's the reality of it. People aren't going to engage as much, but it's still showing on your feed that you are available and that you are actually in business. Because often you look at some people's feed and it's like they're an awesome creative person, but like, are they studying? Is this a fun hobby? Like, I don't really know. So if you come across some stuff, even if it's just occasionally, you'd be like, oh, they are. Okay, cool. You might not go and engage with that, but you might be more likely to connect with them as well. So that's an important thing to think about. And Brittany shared some good ideas here in terms of what you can be posting about, but think about what they would be interested in. So I would love what Brittany shared around show the process of making it, show it in use, people loving it, and where to buy it. So, this is good to do as well, as like show your designs in unique, different ways, processes of creating. We can add to that list inspiration. What's the inspiration behind what you've created here? That could be another thing to do. And then something that I kind of think most people get this wrong as well is you, right? We want to see you as well as the creator. And some people cringe at that. They go, what do you mean me? I don't want to be on social media. I don't want my face to be plastered everywhere. Well, you are your business. People buy from people. People are buying from you as another human being. So I'm not saying you need to be on every single post there with a big smiley face, like holding your creative designs, like because maybe that's too much as well. And I'm not saying you need to dance around like on TikTok. I'm just saying that most people do not show up enough themselves in their brand, whether that's in their website, whether that's in their social media. It's a really important piece of it. So bringing you into the brand, and it does not have to just be your face all the time. It could be your hand designing something, it could be something over the shoulder. And that's where even bringing in that inspiration, maybe from your world, actually shows there's a real living person. And that's often what people connect with as well. It's not just about your creative work, it's about who you are, the inspiration behind the work, and all those things there too. So I think, such a powerful thing to think about as we dive into that. Cool. Lots more questions got to dive through, so I'll see what I can go into next. So just having a look here, Jesse, we're going to jump into your one next. So what's a good way to follow up with people if you aren't specifically looking for work right now? Like wanting to stay in touch despite having no availability. Yeah, I love that question. I think it's a really, really powerful one because it is actually important. If you only contact people when you need work, well, it means that sometimes it might be a long time and they've kind of forgotten about you. So it is important to stay in touch with people. And there's lots of different things that you can do around this. Getting them following your Instagram, getting them on your emailing list is a really good, quite passive way to do that. You don't necessarily need to directly email them. They're just going to be receiving messages. They're going to be noticing your Instagram. And sometimes what you need to do is just ask a client when you wrap up or during the process of working with them, hey, would you be interested in joining my emailing list? Or, hey, a good way to keep in touch is on Instagram. Here's my Instagram link if you wanted to follow. Here's a way to find out more about what I'm up to, and we can just keep in touch there. So, sometimes need to actually ask those things. So that more passive ways, but then you can actually just email them and connect with them and just keep it simple. Reach out to them and say, hey, just touching base, say hi, thought I'd hear, how have things gone with the thing I'd created for you. Be curious to learn. So it could be related to that, or it could just be curious about what's happening in their world as well. My previous company, we had this amazing client. Her name was Jean. She booked us every year for us. It was like a Christmas parade she booked us with. And whenever I drove through that town in New Zealand, I would just message her and be like, hey, Jane, you up for a catch up, a coffee? And she was always like, yeah, sure, that'd be great. And we had a really great chit chat, bit of a catch up. And and then a few months later, she would be like, cool, and let's talk about the next event. So, it was more than, it really showed me showing up. Now, I'm not saying go and buy every client you have a coffee. You can't always do that. But, showing that you're actually bringing you to the front of mind is really, really important as well. I love it. Hey, very much aware of time. So we are going to cover some more questions in the last 10 minutes here as well. And just a reminder for those of you that maybe joined during the thing, we are doing the giveaway of 3 freebie coaching calls with me, 30 minutes. But if that's something that interests you, then I'm just shared that link there in the chat again. We'll share it in the recording. We'll share it afterwards. Those things there as well. But we'd love to see more about what you're up to. Fill in the survey, and then we'll pick 3 people to get on calls with me, and then a bunch more to get on calls with Paul, the creative business specialist on the team as well. Awesome. Yeah, no worries, Jesse. I love it. Very appreciate those ideas. I love it. Okay, so I'm just going to go through other questions here. Bear with me and we'll see what we've got. If there's any other questions, I think we've probably got some space for some more here. So if others want to ask questions, feel free to put it in there. And then, all right. So I am going to go into a couple that people sent in previously because they might actually be here as well. So we got a question which was just like, is Instagram still worth it? And I think you already all know my views on this. Is we all get annoyed. We all get annoyed with the algorithm changing, new things happening. It's hard to keep up with. And I've had many people that have said, oh, I'm over it. Instagram's over. It's not what it used to be. I'm going to go somewhere else. Now, I get it because it's frustrating when things change. The problem is, where are you going to do? You're going to go to a new platform that you've now got to build up a following on. You've got to learn about, you've got to move forward on. All platforms have algorithms. All platforms are evolving and changing. So other social media platforms as well. You need to be very careful of ping-ponging between different platforms. I'm sick of Instagram. I'm just going to leave it for a few months. I'm going to go over to here to TikTok or Pinterest. I'm going to do that for a while. And then you kind of get a bit of stuff happening over there and you're like, I'm going to go back to Instagram. The problem with moving back and forth is the algorithms don't like it. And actually people don't like it as well. You just disappear off the face of the earth on one platform. They're like, oh, well, I guess they shut their business down. So you've got to be very, very careful. You could, if you want to decrease the number of things you're doing on there and say, oh, I'm just a bit over Instagram, maybe you're still posting, but you're figuring out other ways to promote your business as well. So I think it's just a very important thing to think about. The reality is all these platforms are going to keep evolving. It's the reality, right? And yes, we get annoyed with platforms when they try and make money off us. Well, I'm like, I think we all get annoyed at that, but the reality is they are also businesses. And yes, maybe the big multinational companies that we don't really like in some cases, but still, we've got to be aware that that's just what they're trying to do as well. And often we can pay maybe a small amount of money on some of them to actually make things work. So, being aware of that as well is very, very important. Is that Instagram is still a great place to be. I encourage you to stay there. I encourage you to keep engaging and stick around. Your engagement is going to go up and down. And every year for like the last 8 years of me doing coaching stuff, people have said, oh, it's not like it used to be. It's not like it used to be. And I'm like, nothing is like it used to be, right? That's just the world that we live in. Things evolve, things change. And you've also got to remember that things are really just reacting to us as humans. So why did Reels take off? Whether you love or hate Reels, why did Reels take off? Well, part of the reason is because Instagram encouraged us to do them because of TikTok. But then why did TikTok take off? Well, it's because people like consuming video-based content, short video-based content. It's what people have actually, is what engages people. So that's something we need to think about as well. Really, a lot of these platforms are just evolving to match what our needs are and what we're interested in consuming and engaging with as well. Did you have any extra thoughts kind of around that, around Instagram and whether it's still a good place to be? Jillian, is it still a useful place for all business owners, not just people with big followings, but in general? What are your thoughts?
Unfortunately, I do think it's still a good place to be. Despite the struggles, that is, people are still going there. People are still finding artists there, and that's where I still get a lot of work. I think a good way to think about it is also, using the content that you put on Instagram in a newsletter, or using it, repurposing it, so that you don't feel like you're putting everything into just Instagram. But it's still there. It's still happening, and it's free, which is great.
People forget that part. People forget. They think, oh yeah, it's so annoying to use and things like that. It's free. It's free. They're like, these platforms did not, most of them didn't exist 20 years ago, right? Some of them were just starting out. And like, if you wanted to build a business like 30, 40 years ago, you had to like spend a ton of money on commercials and radio and all these places. So now we can reach these global audiences or people throughout your country, throughout your state, throughout the world through using these platforms for free. Like that idea, we're all kind of just used to it. We're like, well, yeah, of course, I should be allowed to. It's like, well, no, like we're so lucky to have these amazing platforms that we can use and build businesses as solo creatives now, rather than having to be part of a big organization that can fund ads, fund TV ads or radio ads or those things there as well. So I think that's really, really important. Hey, I just saw a question here in the threads of one of the comments there from Tanya. Do you have any tips around getting over imposter syndrome when selling your services? Woo, this is pretty much everyone gets imposter syndrome. Like, oh, I don't know if I'm good enough. And just to share something, reflecting back to what I shared early on in this call, there's this idea of people being very good at their craft, but not so good at the business stuff. Right. And that's actually specifically what we help people with. I'm very passionate about creative art as well as the business side, right? I've got my own business masters. I've had my own business for 11 years in the creative space, all of those things. So I've always been passionate about bridging the gap between the two. And one of the big reasons we see people really struggling to grow their business and feeling imposter syndrome, feeling they're not good enough, is because they're not seeing their businesses working, even though they thought they were really good creatively. So they start going, maybe I'm not that good. And I go, well, no, you're really good. You're just not doing any marketing. You're not doing the right sort of marketing. You haven't got those foundational pieces of your business in place. You want to build a skyscraper, but you haven't actually built a solid foundation here of the business stuff. And it doesn't need to all be black and white business stuff, boring business stuff. No, it's a creative process as well. So, in terms of that, it's a good thing to think about is a lot of that, not all of it, but some imposter syndrome will come from that fact that you're not seeing the results. So in terms of other things you can do around imposter syndrome, it's really about building up your confidence. So there's several things you can do to build up your confidence. One of them is to celebrate wins, even the small stuff, even the tiny itsy bitsy things. And one of the things we do, we have these weekly group trainings where we bring all of our clients together, and we're always getting everyone to share wins. We always get a few people to share wins every single week. Sometimes everyone shares them. And sometimes people, I don't have a win. And I'm like, you've always got a win. There's always something. It could just be, you know what, I'm still here. Or you know what, I took this action. So celebrating wins is going to boost you and just boost that motivation up a little bit, boost that confidence up and help you get over those things like imposter syndrome. Another thing that you can do is just take small actions. small actions lead you places. You're going to see some small results. That's going to feel really good. You're going to be able to take more action. You're going to be able to reduce that imposter syndrome. But yeah, pretty much everyone we work with feels some level of that they're an imposter because they've never done this before. But just because you haven't done this before, it doesn't mean that you can't offer something really valuable. You're really good at what you do creatively. You just need to get it in front of the right people in the right way. That's the marketing. That's getting specific around the offerings, and it's a bunch of that business stuff as well. So look, this stuff is absolutely essential. We often think about, growing your business is like, it's all that strategy and the marketing. Oh, that some of that stuff sounds a bit icky. Like, yes, that's part of it, but it's also building confidence, working on your motivation, your wellness, right? One of the things I often share with people is like, I'm not interested in hustle culture. It's not about working harder, it's about working smarter. And that's a huge one. We talk a lot about wellness in our programs as well, because wellness and balance and those things, they are essential because it's hard. No one wants to burn out. Burnout's a big risk for everyone in the world, definitely visual creatives for sure as well. So just sharing a few thoughts and ideas around those things. Hey, just very much aware of time, and we are coming towards the end of our time together, everyone. It's just been such a delight and loved all the questions and working with Jillian on this. What we would love you to do is just to share in the chat a takeaway that you've had from today. We absolutely love really understanding, and it's going to cement those learnings for you and share them with others as well. So what's an interesting takeaway? What's something that's been helpful, useful, fascinating? Would love everyone here just to type something in the chat around that. What has been interesting? What has been helpful? Maybe something surprising. Maybe there's an action you're going to take. I'd love everyone just to take a minute to write something, even small, even one sentence in the chat, or even one word. What's been helpful? What did you learn? What was fascinating? Whatever it is, we'd love to just kind of hear as we start to wrap up in the next couple of minutes. It's just been such a delight, I think, just connecting with everyone here, Jillian, and like really being able to dive into this stuff. As I said, like, one of the big things is that the marketing stuff is, often quite hard, but it's the thing that is essential to growing your creative business. If you really want to get serious about it being a full-time thing, you want to be a full-time creative, then this is part of it. And you might be a 1 out of 10 or a 0 out of 10 when it comes to marketing or your business, but we can really get you moving towards that 1, that 2. You can do that. You can take time. You don't need to just do all of that stuff and not do the creative side. Yes, there's balance as well. So love seeing all the things pop through here in the chat. So I'll just share a few of them. Need to take heart in the efforts you're already making. Absolutely need to take courage in pursuing fewer, better quality opportunities. I love that, Jessie. Very, very cool. Brittany sharing fun things like this webinar can be networking opportunities. Absolutely. 1 per month. This is one. Everyone's kicked that off. I love it. Reminder to celebrate even the small wins, Melinda. Fantastic. Renee sharing focus is powerful. Amber sharing finding your bread and butter. Very, very cool. Warm emails from Christina there. Jojo sharing you can do it all, but not all at once. Focusing on 1 to 2 bigger services can allow you to do smaller things without focusing too much attention on them. I love that. Focus your efforts, be consistent, Cameron. Very, very cool. Focus on 2 to 3 core offerings. Focus on 1 to 2 marketing areas. There, Liz, we're going to be diving into this a lot more very, very soon, Liz, within the program. I love it. Asking for referrals, product services, offering minimum $300 plus. I go on and on about that $300 plus there, Dana. It's a very, very important thing. To have a read through all the other amazing things that everyone has shared. It's been a delight, Jillian. Hasn't it been fun connecting with everyone today?
Yeah, this has been so good. I'm so glad you all came. Good to meet you.
Awesome. Hey, we're going to wrap things up there. Take care, everyone. Have an amazing rest of your week, and we'll be catching up soon. Keep an eye on the recording. We'll be sending it out, and we'd love to see some of your surveys and get on to some of you as well. Awesome. Take care, everyone.
Yay. Thank you.